Hey, what's good everybody? It's your boy Script here, and let's just get right into it. More than 500 days have passed since the events of October 7, 2023. According to mainstream reports, Hamas executed a coordinated attack resulting in the death of 1,200 Israelis and the capture of over 200 hostages. This triggered Israel's severe response, carpet bombing and a ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, aimed at securing the release of their captives, which has led to the displacement and death of thousands of Palestinians, including a significant number of women and children. Much of the discussion around the narrative has favored the Israelis and their right to defend themselves after Hamas's attack. However, reports broke that former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant authorized the controversial Hannibal Directive during the Hamas-led attack on October 7, 2023. In an interview with Israel's Channel 12, Gallant confirmed giving the order in certain areas. Quote, "I think that tactically in some places it was given and in other places it was not given, and that is a problem," he said. This military protocol allows the use of force, even at the risk of killing hostages, to prevent captives from falling into enemy hands. The policy has been highly controversial and is believed to have been used unofficially in multiple conflicts. The directive prioritizes preventing enemy leverage over safeguarding soldiers' lives. Israel has accused Hamas of killing approximately 1,100 Israeli soldiers and civilians during the attack 18 months ago. But Gallant's admission points out the Israeli military's actions might have also killed some Israeli hostages and civilians. Now, what's going on in Gaza has been considered acts of genocide by Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. Hell, the International Court of Justice has issued warrants of arrest for the current Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and former Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, for crimes against humanity and war crimes committed from at least 8 October 2023 until at least 20 May 2024. These range from using starvation as a method of warfare to the restriction of vital medical supplies. The list, unfortunately, goes on and on. With many Western nations still regurgitating the same redundant talking points in blind defense of Israel's inexcusable actions, stating,
"Israel has a right to defend itself,"
or the classic,
"Do you condemn Hamas?"
done by design, has left many still unaware of the true extent of this long-standing conflict. The ripple effects of this conflict are showing growing concerns for the foundational rights to one's freedom of speech, this being abundantly clear in the case of Columbia University alumni and pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil and his recent arrest on March 8, 2025. Mahmoud Khalil's arrest came as a direct response to the Trump administration's crackdown on pro-Palestine supporters, a complete 180 from what he had campaigned on, namely his supposed fight against censorship and for free speech. Just 4 days before Khalil's unlawful arrest, Trump stood before Congress boasting,
"And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back."
Yet days later, his administration sent ICE to detain a lawful permanent resident for exercising that very freedom. To answer this, it's important to provide some context on Mahmoud's story. His arrest was the first of many the Trump administration has made to crack down on pro-Palestinian support. However, for the sake of this video, Mahmoud's case will be our main focus, especially as his story continues to gain more attention in the media. Mahmoud Khalil was born in 1995 in a Palestinian refugee camp in Damascus, Syria. The youngest of 4 brothers, his family's history is marked by displacement. His mother's lineage traces back to Algeria revolutionaries displaced to Ottoman Palestine, and his grandparents fled their village near Tiberias during the 1948 Nakba, settling in Syria. Growing up in a refugee camp, Khalil faced systemic marginalization from an early age. In 2013, at 18, he fled Syria alone due to the civil war and his outspoken opposition to the Assad regime, becoming a double refugee in Lebanon. There, despite his own challenges, he began working with Jessor, a non-profit leading scholarship programs for refugees and marginalized students. After his impactful tenure with Jessor, Khalil's life took a positive and eventful turn. In December 2022, he married Noor Abdallah, a fellow advocate he had met at Jusor, in a vibrant celebration filled with music and dance, including his beloved dabke, a traditional Palestinian folk dance he cherished. Shortly after, the couple relocated to New York, where Khalil pursued his master's degree at Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs, SIPA for short. He excelled academically, completing his degree in December, and distinguished himself as a teaching assistant, earning the nickname Professor Mahmoud for his unwavering dedication and kindness to his students. Now, as he and Noor anticipate the birth of their first child, Khalil's journey is at a crossroads, with his recent arrest due to campus activism casting an uncertain shadow over his achievements and future aspirations. On April 17, 2024, at 4 a.m., pro-Palestine student protesters set up the Gaza Solidarity Encampment on Columbia's campus lawn just hours before then-President Mahmoud Shafiq was due to testify before Congress about anti-Semitism allegations. The unexpected move blindsided the administration. Less than 34 hours later, Shafiq called in the NYPD, leading to over 100 arrests, the largest mass arrest at Columbia since 1968. Undeterred, students immediately set up a second, larger encampment beside the first, sparking a wave of solidarity encampments across the US and beyond. Amid this escalating standoff, the protesters needed a voice to confront the university and push their demands. Disclosure and divestment from Columbia's investments in Israel and occupied Palestinian territories. Mahmoud Khalil's name came up first. A refugee, twice displaced, he wasn't the loudest voice in the crowd, but his calm demeanor made him the choice. Teamed with co-negotiator Suda Polat, they squared off against Columbia's leaders for 14 grueling days, pressing for divestment from Israel. But it was on day 12 of the encampments, April 29th at 8:03 a.m. to be exact, when the ground shifted. Shafiq announced, quote, "The university will not divest from Israel." The talks crumbled, Khalil's careful strategy unraveled, and the backlash was swift. Pro-Israel figures like Shai David I doxed him, branding him a villain, and the death threats poured in. Fast forward to March 7, 2025, the day before his arrest, news broke that Trump was immediately pulling $400 million of federal funding from Columbia University, saying it failed to fight anti-Semitism on campus. On that same day, Mahmoud emailed the interim president desperate, quote, "I haven't been able to sleep." But by the next day, ICE arrested him at the lobby of his apartment building in Columbia University housing for his activism, deeming him a threat. After his unlawful arrest that was captured on video by his wife, ICE, upon instructions from the Trump administration, transported Mahmoud first to New Jersey and then soon after to Louisiana at an immigration detention center with the hopes of revoking his student visa and holding his case there, as it would likely make it a harder fight. Reading from MSNBC, Mr. Khalil has never been accused, charged, or convicted of any crime. He was ripped from his home, detained, and threatened with deportation in retaliation for his political beliefs. His case represents a clear attempt by the Trump administration to silence dissent, intimidate our universities, and attack our freedom. The ripple effects of this conflict are starting to shred the fabric of Western society. The First Amendment's supposed to lock in the right to free speech, but with Trump's second term, it's looking shaky. If you dare speak out against something he's personally all in on, good luck. Seems like that right might not cover you anymore. Amnesty International's US Executive Director Paul O'Brien put it blunt. Targeting and threatening peaceful protesters and their immigration status for the content of their protests, like advocating for Palestinian human rights, is a violation of human rights. What this spells out for free speech as we know it? Well, trouble. If Trump's crew gets their way with Mahmoud Khalil and the others arrested, student visas yanked, It's a slippery slope to losing the right to protest anything the president opposes himself. That's not the democracy the West is known for. It's a detour to something else entirely. Trump's love for Israel and the Jewish community, yeah, it's no shocker when you dig into his crew. Take Jason Greenblatt, his real estate lawyer for 19 years, or David Friedman, his go-to attorney for 15 years. Friedman even jumped onto Trump's Middle East advisory team, and that guy's got some hardcore takes. He's dead set against the two-state solution and all in on an undivided Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
And you know, people say, well, you know, the governments are not in the business of changing the way people think. That's true, but, you know, to my thinking, most people who are, you know, anti-Semites, most of these people running around, we're not going to win their hearts and minds because they don't have hearts and they don't have minds. So, you know, how are we going to, there's no reason to think we're ever going to convince them, but we can deport them, we can put them in jail, we can make their lives miserable, we can cut off their funding, and that's what the Trump administration is doing for the first time.
Then there's family. His daughter Ivanka converted to Judaism in 2009 after tying the knot with Jared Kushner, son of real estate big shot Charles Kushner, who Trump pardoned in 2020. Charles had his own mess back in 2004, pleading guilty to 18 counts of tax evasion, witness tampering, and shady campaign cash. Oh, and let's not skip the eyebrow-raising link to Jeffrey Epstein, a man that was linked to a wild trafficking scheme. But let's rewind to 1983 for a second. Trump, at 38, snagged the Tree of Life Award from the Jewish National Fund USA's regional chapters. He proudly slapped the thing on his Trump Tower office wall.
So these awards are given to me by the Jewish community for different things, and this is the Tree of Life, which is a very big award in terms of everything that I stand for. It means so much to me, and a lot of times I'll have friends of mine come in, Jewish, and they will see the Tree of Life and they'll say, wow, what a great thing. Likewise, right over here, this is the Shalom Humanitarian Award, and that was presented to me also. And these are different awards I've had over the years for different things I've done.
And this is the Tree of Life, which is a very big award.
They handed it over for his contributions to Israel. Think funding playgrounds, a park, and helping Israelis displaced by the 1979 peace deal. Trump's just been flexing his support for decades. Alright, for the new viewers, I use gematria, a Kabbalah-based practice to decode narratives using an alphanumeric system where each letter holds a numeric value. Words, names, or phrases calculated through 4 base ciphers uncover patterns, especially alongside date numerology, offering a unique lens on mainstream stories. And speaking of Kabbalah, in Donald Trump's 2004 book, The Way to the Top, on page 188, Trump shows appreciation to his Kabbalah teacher, Eitan Yardeni, an ordained rabbi instrumental in globalizing Kabbalah since 1985. But anyway, Trump's affinity for the Jewish community has been evident for years, whether he's adjusting Benjamin Netanyahu's seat during a meeting with butler-like care, placing his hand on the Western Wall in Israel, or embracing Kabbalah, his actions speak volumes. Given this, applying gematria to Mahmoud Khalil's story, Trump's primary target among pro-Palestinian supporters, feels entirely justified. It's a lens to unpack why they, you know, the powers pulling the strings, pick the dates they do for certain events. We'll also tie in a quick link to Trump and that award he snagged back in 1983. Using the full reduction cipher, we could see how Mahmoud Khalil's name holds the value of 56, like the word deportation, which is the primary goal of Trump's administration with his arrest. How fitting that he was arrested on a date with 56 numerology. And like I was saying, gematria helps uncover hidden patterns in these narratives. Right as I was editing, news hit on April 11th, Judge Jamie Comins ruled the government can push forward with its case against Mahmoud Khalil. And here's the wild part. There's zero evidence linking him to Hamas or any criminal activities. It's all pinned on his views against Israel. Now he faces possible deportation to Syria where he was born, or Algeria where he holds citizenship. If his attorneys miss the appeal deadline, this could go down as soon as April 23rd. The root of this arrest stems from Mahmoud's support for Palestine. Notice Palestine equals 38, similar to the date he was arrested, March 8th, written 3/8. He was also moved to Louisiana despite being arrested in New York. Notice Louisiana equals 38 in the same cipher. Despite still being detained in Louisiana, Mahmoud's legal team is doing what they can to have his trial move back to the tri-state area, yet even this is proving to be quite challenging. When it comes to why the Trump administration might have gone specifically for Mahmoud Khalil, an excellent report from responsiblestatecraft.org was posted with the headline, "The Israeli-American Trump mega donor behind speech crackdowns." It dives into the involvement of the largest financier of Trump's 3 presidential campaigns, Israeli-American billionaire Miriam Adelson. Miriam is the widow of Sheldon Adelson, the former CEO and chairman of casino company Las Vegas Sands, who died at 87 in 2021. Alongside her strong financial support for Trump, what this article discusses is her position as president and primary funder of the Maccabee Task Force, which, for those that don't know, is a Jewish advocacy group founded in 2015 to combat anti-Semitic activities on college campuses. On the group's social media pages, they have openly bragged about the arrest of Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil, even falsely claiming he was a Hamas supporter with zero evidence. Quite an interesting article worth reading. I bring this up because I noticed something wild. Miriam Adelson's name adds up to 83 in gematria. Given her role in Trump's campaign, meaning she's got sway over his political moves, and her ties to Maccabee, who targeted Mahmoud Khalil, it feels too perfect that Mahmoud's arrest on March 8th can be written as 8/3, mirroring that 83. Now, with the recent updates on April 11th, Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate student and green card holder married to a US citizen, is possibly facing deportation. To justify their case, the government is relying on an obscure Cold War era law, the McCarran-Walter Act, or Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, which played a major role in shaping US immigration policy. Now, there are 2 reasons why I found this interesting. The first being that the McCarran-Walter Act of 1952 let the US Secretary of State control visa rules and screen immigrants, often bearing, quote, subversives like suspected communists without clear proof. This gave huge sway over who entered, impacting Jewish refugees fleeing Soviet or post-Holocaust persecution. Some got in, others were flagged for their politics. Ironically, this same law, once a hurdle for Jews, is now wielded by influential Jewish figures to target Mahmoud Khalil, a pro-Palestinian voice, for deportation. The second reason is the numerology aspect. Notice this law that they're using was established in 1952, with emphasis on the 52, as the word anti-Semitism equals 52, and it has been made clear by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, that anybody saying practically anything at this point that even slightly criticizes Israel is displaying anti-Semitism. So it's by no coincidence that this law is being leveraged in this case. It's worth mentioning that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, has collected over $1 million in campaign contributions from AIPAC and the Israel lobby since first elected to the Senate in 2010. This man is practically on a rampage going after green card holders. He's even been quoted saying, "We're going to keep doing it," when recently asked about their decisions. Notice how Marco Rubio and anti-Semitism both equal 52, and remember the case is leveraging the 1952 Immigration and Nationality Act. I also found it striking that news of the McCarran-Walter Act's use in Mahmoud Khalil's case broke on April 11th, a date written as 11/4, mirroring the gematria value of McCarran-Walter Act itself. And just to throw it in there, April 11th was also the 101st day of the year. Notice Palestine equals 101 in the ordinal cipher. It's really not hard to tell why this is relevant. Now, I'm sure there will be more to come from this particular story, but for now I want to circle back to that 1983 Tree of Life Award Trump earned and look at some quick numerical finds around that. In my opinion, it's a numerical ritual from way before he even sniffed the presidency. For anyone new to this, the Tree of Life is core to Kabbalah's foundation. So core that in the reverse reduction cipher, both Kabbalah and Tree of Life hit the 52, with no accident there. But here's the kicker. Trump was just 38 when he snagged that award, and words like Jew, Kabbalah, and Gematria all equal 38 too. So make of it what you will, and I get it. Some might roll their eyes and call this a stretch if they're not into Gematria, and that's cool. But don't let it overshadow the solid ties I've laid out between Trump and the Jewish community earlier. Those stand on their own. But alright y'all, that's all I've got for now. Could Mahmoud Khalil's case end up costing us free speech, all to shield Israel? Or will it stand as a wake-up call for why First Amendment rights even exist? Either way, it's getting clearer every day that Trump's loyalty teeters between the US and Israel, sometimes tipping hard toward the latter. They've got their hooks in whoever's in power or gunning for it, serving that agenda. That's why I'm keeping my eyes on this case, hoping this shady, ill-intentioned move doesn't torch free speech just to prop up Israel. So if y'all enjoyed this video, please do your boy a favor, hit the like button, comment your thoughts down below, and share it. And most importantly, subscribe, man. It's been your boy Script, and I'm out of here. Peace.